I've been living with robot vacuums and mops for years now, but until late last year, I didn't feel like they were a requirement. In a lot of cases, they caused more problems than they were worth. But we've hit 2024. The technology has improved to a point where it's sometimes incredible. Robot vacuums, to me, are a must-have, and that is especially true when they're combined with a mopping feature. So today I'm going to share the reasons why I can never go back to a regular vacuum or even an inexpensive robot vac. And I'm going to share with you a brand new model that demonstrates a lot of what I mean. Hello Automators, thanks for tuning in again. I'm Brian from Automate Your Life, and my goal on the channel is to help you save time and money on your journey to live smarter. So if you like that idea, hit the subscribe button now. And I have to thank the folks at Narwal who helped us pay our bills by sponsoring today's video. They just released the brand new Narwal Freo X Ultra that you're seeing here. Now, X Ultra mops and it vacuums, and it features up to 7 weeks of dust storage before you have to empty Narwal. It features over 8,200 pascals of suction power, a greater than 99% hair pickup rate, antibacterial rate, and filtration rate, and somehow a 0% hair tangling rate. Plus a large number of features that really make a difference to your experience. So I'm going to give you those specific features that make differences to your life as we go. But let's get to our 3 big reasons. I'm a busy entrepreneur and a single parent. And those things tend to put time at a premium. So I'm focused on saving time. And it's a huge reason I can't go back. I thought you'd want some data though. So I measured how much time it takes me to vacuum and mop my home and then compared that to living with Narwal. I timed myself from opening the box to prepping Narwal and finally to setting it up and sending it on its merry little way. The total time was about 20 minutes, and that included me wasting time setting up my cameras. Then I did what would be a regular monthly maintenance routine, and that came out to another 5 minutes or so. That means on average, I'll spend a single hour per year managing a robot vacuum like Narwal. In comparison, vacuuming and mopping with the simplest of solutions still meant 40 minutes of my time. Now doing that weekly, which is probably a bare minimum, means about 35 hours a year. For me, that's an extra video on Automate Your Life. Even if I'm being a little bit aggressive on how long it'll take me to do some maintenance, the numbers are so far apart, and there are some reasons that the newest vacuums today are so good this way. Obviously, just the fact that I don't have to do the work means I can go and do something else while my home is being cleaned. But some of the design improvements in just the last 2 years means I don't even have to be around when the device is running. And at this point, it's a more complicated run than anything we had just 2 or 3 years ago. If you look at Narwal, its base station contains fresh and a dirty water tank, plus detergent. Now, when it's running and it needs more fresh water, or it needs to drop off the dirty water, or it needs a little more detergent, it goes back to the base station and gets all of that. If the mops are too dirty, it goes back for a cleaning too. All those kinds of features would have been something that I would have had to be around for and probably did manually just a few years ago. Narwal also eliminates one of the worst jobs with smart design on the vacuuming side. It's very time consuming and honestly gross to cut out hair and carpet fibers that get tangled in the bottom brush. This is the first year I've seen a couple of companies announce that their brush is not going to have any tangles in it. So far with Narwal, this has been a great experience as I haven't found any hair caught in the brush, and that's not something I expected to work. And this is a smaller time-saving feature, but definitely one that's an annoyance for a lot of you. The base stations now often come with a vacuum bag on board, and then that pulls all the debris that's been vacuumed up during a cleaning. It's usually loud, but it's effective because you don't have to empty the vacuum bags very often. Narwal is tackling this a different way. I think it's an interesting move by them to compress the debris to such an extent that you're gonna get so long before you have to throw out the bag or empty the compartment. But time savings are coming in a few different ways, and I think companies are starting to learn how to use their apps to give you more as a customer. So when you do have to do a job with Narwal, the app is going to notify you. The app has timelines for suggested replacements, and my favorite thing about it all is that the jobs have the instructions right there on the same page. So you don't have to go looking for a manual or something online. And it's hard to see it, but it's the designs and the amount of work going into components that are driving these time savings. This latest version of Narwal is almost a set and forget device for months at a time, and I think you'll find the newest vacuums to be incredible this way. The second reason I'm finding a robot vacuum to be essential today is cleanliness. Now, a couple of years ago, I would have told you that robot vacuums were worse than the average person with a handheld vacuum or mop. But that's not the case anymore, and I'm not just calling myself lazy here. Today's modern versions mostly use LiDAR for navigation and object recognition, but you'll also find things like cameras and even some units that use neither. Those ones use gyroscopes and accelerometer-based navigation, or more simply put, they guess where the heck they are and then bounce off stuff around your home. Now, LiDAR stands for light detection and ranging. It's basically lasers scanning constantly to detect objects and their distance to the robot. Cameras can be used in similar ways, but all of this is being used to achieve what's called SLAM, simultaneous localization and mapping, and that results in three big features. Number one, you have a map that shows where the vacuum is. Number two, the robot vacuum determines the best paths through your home. And number three, the vacuum knows generally what to expect as it moves because it can see. It's generally accepted today that this is the best form of navigation for a robot vacuum. But in 2024, companies have figured out that it's not perfect. So we're getting a little more than the top hat of LiDAR. This little top hat has a big issue. It can't see below the top of the vacuum. There's an angle where it can see out, but that now older method has kept these from detecting smaller objects. What's happening in 2024 is that models like X Ultra are including additional sensors on the front. Narwal calls this a tri-laser system, and it's allowing them to detect smaller objects in front and on the sides of Narwal. It's allowing them to get really close to most objects and then clean around them. Plus, it's given them a great edge cleaning mode, so there's nothing sitting around my baseboards. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better. And I'll tell you, it's still hitting some smaller remotes and smaller objects, so I think they have a little bit of work to do, but this year you're gonna see these extra sensors on the front and sides, and it's gonna make a big difference. But it's not just the sensor tech that's powering this cleanliness. In Narwal, they've increased their suction power to 8,200 pascals. They've also released testing certifications that show X Ultra is getting over 99% of the job done. And it's not just the suction either, as models like Narwal can apply different pressure levels to your floor with their mops. With this feature they call Dirt Sense, Narwal travels back to really dirty spots in your home to make sure it gets it clean. It all leads to a level of cleanliness that just wasn't possible a few years ago. But it's not even just how the unit cleans that matters. It's how clean the unit is. Let me tell you a story about that.
The events and characters depicted in this photoplay are fictitious. Any similarity to actual persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental.
I remember coming into my home in the middle of summer last year. It was pretty hot out, so my home was a little warm. But when I came in, it was like a punch in the face. It smelled terrible in my home, and the scary thing was I couldn't instantly locate where it was coming from. After a few minutes of running around, I realized that a major source was the robot vacuum. But it wasn't just coming from that. Now, the robot vacuum was sitting in the base station after having mopped. So I checked the dirty water bin. I emptied it, but nothing really changed. It was the inner compartment of the base station. I had left the mops on the unit from the last clean, and although they were supposedly getting cleaned, they obviously hadn't been cleaned well. Basically, they had developed some bad bacteria on them and then had gone around my home smelling like that. What I realized was the biggest contributor to this was how they as a company were cleaning the mops. It just wasn't being done well, and they were also cleaning it with cooler water. The bottom of the base station wasn't being dried well, so it's just a factory for bacteria. So when you see a testing certification that shows 99% antibacterial, and you see features that say it cleans the mop with a little bit of heated water, plus it cleans part of that inner compartment, these are important things for keeping your home clean. The mops have to look clean when they come out of the base station. They have to be dried well, and if you're not seeing all of this, then your mops are basically going around spreading bacteria around your home. And that's a scary thought, but previous robot vacuums have had problems with the debris they're picking up too. It was just last year I was looking at a robot vacuum that had dust and crud coming out of its compartment. And it looked like it was dragging around a little tail. That's where Narwal's compression of the dust bag comes into play and keeps it and the base station from having all that debris in places it shouldn't be. These newest vacuums have figured out the problem points, and it's leading to real cleanliness. The third reason I can't go back in time is what I would call convenience, but it's more than me just saying I don't have to do this manual labor. Some of the models I've had in the past just didn't make it easy to live with them. They didn't make it easy for a family to use it, and ultimately this meant that they failed to keep my home clean. These are some of the ways a robot vacuum can provide true convenience and the associated features I think you should be looking for. Advanced scheduling in the app is very important, and it shouldn't just be a schedule that lets you send the vacuum out on different days. Let me show you Narwal's version of this, which is right up there with the best in the industry. When I go to schedule a task, not only can I choose to make it a weekly occurrence, but I can set the different rooms we'll be tackling that day, and I can even customize exactly how the unit runs in those different rooms. So if I choose Freo mode, I can have it vacuum and mop at the same time, or break up those tasks in different ways. If I choose to customize a task, I can have it do extra runs through the same room. I can change the suction power, I can increase or decrease how much water is used when mopping, and I can even force the device to use its meticulous navigation mode. And all of that can be different per room. As far as I'm concerned, a robot vacuum has to be controllable by everyone in the house. Now, most apps are going to let you install them on a second phone and log into the same account. That's what you can do with Narwal too, but they've also included something that I think is important for people with kids. I don't want to hand my kid control of every smart home device through apps. So it's great that Narwal has included this kind of a panel. It makes him both excited and willing to start the robot vacuum if he's made a mess. But probably the biggest thing that's frustrated me with previous robot vacuums is when a device can't create separate maps for your different floors. You can't have a unit like this in your home that costs as much as these do, and then have it be unavailable to use on other floors. Now, keep in mind, we're not at a spot where robot vacuums can go up your stairs. We're seeing some companies claim that they're going to come out with units that can do that, and I'm excited to see it, but it's definitely unproven technology as of yet. So you just have to grab these, carry them up or down your stairs, and run them with the map for that level selected. Narwal fixed this up, which, by the way, was a big problem that they had last year. Companies are getting this now, and you need to make sure that you can make multiple maps. Those are my 3 reasons I can't go back, but I wanted to give you a bonus for staying and watching with us. This is one of the ways you can create additional convenience with any robot vacuum. You don't necessarily have to have Amazon, Google, or Apple voice assistants or smart speakers from those companies to make use of this. All of them have an app, and you can connect robot vacuums like these to them. Now with Apple, it's just Siri shortcuts with this specific unit, so it's just voice control through your phone. With Amazon, you can almost always do something as simple as checking to see if someone has left the home, and then you can run the robot vacuum. It makes it even more convenient because you won't see the device cleaning, you won't hear it running. You could also stick something like a smart button by the door that people can press as they leave if that suits your family more. So those are some automations you can create with your robot vacuums to make it a more convenient experience. I hope it helps. I hope that today's video has helped you to identify some features and some things you want to look for in your next robot vacuum and mop unit. For me, the mopping feature with Narwal is the best in the industry, and I think if you're after something like that, then it's a great product to pick up. Check out the links below, as they, as a company, have a couple of different units that you can buy. I really love the X Ultra, but I don't think you can do a lot of wrong by buying one of their other systems. Otherwise, there are some major improvements coming to smart home gear in 2024. You can see our picks for the best smart home products coming out this year in the video that's up on screen there. Surprise, surprise, Freo X Ultra was one of the products, and there's a ton more there. So go check it out. Thanks for watching today, and of course, live smart.